Computational English by Lucian Green. Intertextuality 3 and 4. 21. I prepared to keep my mind and body active. I did this by collecting the ways text to metaphysically keep my life's text open by supporting it. First, I wrote from a single 80 reasonings long 8 to 250 reasonings long pedagogical argument. Second, I reasoned out each object's x, y and z dimensions in each sentence of the argument. Third, I supported myself living. First, I prepared to keep my mind and body active by collecting the ways text to metaphysically keep my life's text open by supporting it. 22. I prepared to wear appropriate clothing to prevent being subject to terrorism, e.g. walk in a straight line. I did this by verifying that the shirt's text matched the text about what I should wear. First, I aimed to walk in the house. Second, I wrote that I should wear a shirt to walk in the house. Third, I wore the shirt. In this way, I prepared to wear appropriate clothing to prevent being subject to terrorism, e.g. walk in a straight line, by verifying that the shirt's text matched the text about what I should wear. 23. I prepared to serve the peaches and cream. I did this by treating the child, who had a text, to the liquefied prune, which had a text. First, I asked her to eat the liquefied prune. Second, I spooned them into the consenting child's mouth. Third, I asked her to swallow it. In this way, I prepared to serve the peaches and cream by treating the child, who had a text, to the liquefied prune, which had a text. 24. I prepared to turn the key to raise the model sun. I did this by verifying the text was clear using a style guide. First, I verified that the first sentence referred to an object. Second, I prepared to verify that the next sentence referred to an object that was connected to an object previously referred to in the paragraph. Third, I repeated this until I had verified that each sentence referred to an object that was connected to an object previously referred to in the paragraph, where a system is a set of joined objects in each paragraph. In this way, I prepared to turn the key to raise the model sun by verifying the text was clear using a style guide. 25. I prepared to flip the argument vertically as part of the lower half of the computational English diamond. I did this by verifying the reasoning was correct using a reasoning guide. First, I verified the first reasoning, e.g. D less than C. Second, I prepared to verify the second reasoning, e.g. C less than B. Third, I repeated this until I had verified each reasoning, e.g. C less than A. In this way, I prepared to flip the argument vertically as part of the lower half of the computational English diamond by verifying the reasoning was correct using a reasoning guide. 26. I prepared to be myself. I did this by verifying the raison d'etre, reason to be, was correct using a raison d'etre guide. First, I verified that the first grammar was correct, and so should be part of my being. Second, I prepared to verify that the second grammar was correct, and so should be part of my being. Third, I repeated this until I had verified that each grammar was correct, and so should be part of my being. In this way, I prepared to be myself by verifying the raison d'etre, reason to be, was correct using a raison d'etre guide. 27. I prepared to present the pot, representing having had enough exercise. I did this by writing that and symbolized placing a new counter in the pot. First, I placed a counter in the pot. Second, I prepared to place another counter in the pot, where I placed a counter in the pot and I placed another counter in the pot were in conjunction. Third, I repeated this until I had placed all the counters in the pot, where all the statements that I had placed a counter in the pot were in conjunction. In this way, I prepared to present the pot, representing having had enough exercise by writing that and symbolized placing a new counter in the pot. 28. I prepared to present the group of pots, one of which represented an athlete in the group having had enough preparation to win. I did this by writing that V or symbolized placing a putt on the table. First, I placed a putt on the table. Second, I prepared to place another putt on the table where I placed a putt on the table and I placed another putt on the table were in disjunction. Third, I repeated this until I had placed all the putts on the table, where all the statements that I had placed a putt on the table were in disjunction. In this way, I prepared to present the group of putts, one of which represented an athlete in the group having had enough preparation to win by writing that V or symbolized placing a putt on the table. 29. I prepared to measure the distance between the self and the other. I did this by representing the self-other pair at points along the x-axis. First, I observed that the self was positioned at 1, 0, 0 in meters. Second, I observed that the other was positioned at 2, 0, 0 in meters. Third, given that the y and z values of the positions of the self and other, respectively, were equal to 0, I determined that the self and other were positioned at different points along the x-axis. In this way, I prepared to measure the distance between the self and the other by representing the self-other pair at points along the x-axis. 30. I prepared to measure the distance in time between the person's positions and the times at those positions, respectively. I did this by representing 2 points in space along the y-axis. First, I observed that the person was positioned at 0, 1, 0 in meters at time equals 1 second. Second, I observed that the person was positioned at 0, 2, 0 in meters at time equals 2 seconds. Third, given that the x and z values of the positions of the person were equal to 0 at 1 and 2 seconds, I determined that the person was positioned at different points along the y-axis at different points in time. In this way, I prepared to measure the distance in time between the person's positions and the times at those positions, respectively by representing 2 points in space along the y-axis.